Hey, so welcome back. My name is David. I'm with Justin, and this is Mickey's Earbuds. And today we're going to be talking about resorts, the different types of resorts, because Disney, of course, is not your standard regular destination. There's a lot of places to stay on property. Properties, the phrase they use for staying at Disney World, and we're going to look at that today. And there's lots of different resorts. Justin, you kind of know more about this because you're coming from out of town. Do you want to break that down for everybody?
Sure. So the first thing you got to know is that at Walt Disney World Resort hotels, again, looking specifically at Walt Disney World, eventually we'll look elsewhere, but this is where we're at for now as we're still getting started. There's different classes at very different price points when you're staying on Disney World property. So they've got what Disney calls their deluxe villas, which are slightly different, their moderate level, their value level, and then they even have a campground. So
And
we're
the
gonna
campground's pretty cool. Have you ever been there?
I have been there once or twice now. I've not stayed there, but I've been there.
And it's even, and this is a whole nother topic for another day. The campground is, dare I say, magical at Christmas time.
Yes,
And
it's
it's
called
totally
Fort
done by
Wilderness, by the
visitors.
way. Yeah, it's called Fort Wilderness, by the way. And yes, it is indeed magical at Christmas time. In fact, that was one of the times I visited the campground, which is actually kind of a cool story in and of itself. I believe my wife, on her first trip when she was 4 years old, I believe her family stayed at Fort Wilderness. And I'm intrigued by the idea of staying there in the future. It's just a matter of I don't want to stay there in the heat of summer, and I also don't want to stay there in the potential cold of winter. Like some spring or fall would be the ideal. I do have a camping trailer. It'd be nice to bring it there.
It's really hard to get the reservations at the campground, I've found.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Fortunately for me, having a pop-up camper, and that's the main thing, is that it's not really climate controlled, which is why I'd be picky about the season. But I imagine I don't need full hookups for that exactly. I just need a power cable, power outlet, and a hose, and I think they pretty much have that as standard equipment at all their sites.
Yeah, they do have sites, and they have regular. They have hookups if you have an RV. It's pretty nice for if you've ever gone. And Justin and I, for both of us are former Boy Scouts, so we know a thing or two about camping. Justin is an Eagle Scout, so he probably knows a thing or three about camping. But
And now I'm teaching other people how to camp too. So I mean, it's also yeah.
yeah,
I'm
so
still
we
learning. As I say, there are no expert campers. There are experienced campers. There are no expert campers because we're always learning.
did I ever tell you I once camped and we left the camp early because a hurricane came through into New York?
No, you didn't. A hurricane in New York.
Yeah, it was back in the 90s. My parents took us out camping, and a hurricane was coming in. And literally, because we were next to a pond, the water was rising. And my dad, we were all so little. As the water was rising, he was packing, and we left camp early. Um, Now, can a hurricane hit Central Florida's campgrounds? I'm sure, but Disney, and that is another day, another talk for another day. Disney is phenomenal when it comes to stuff like that.
Yes,
But
I've actually been there on property, staying there when Hurricane Matthew came through. So, yep. So I've experienced that.
And my friend Cian, who works at Disney, she was there when Hurricane Irma was coming through, and just the stuff they
Ooh.
did then.
Well, Irma beats Matthew by like a lot.
Irma was a pretty big storm. That was something else. That's another talk for another day. But the
Yeah.
campgrounds I find really neat. I always want to get a cabin, and those
Uh,
are booked out solid.
The cabins are actually posted on their moderate level, but yes, they do have those there as well. I think they're one bedroom, and they've got like kind of like a Murphy bed pull down in the common living space of the cabin or something like that, as well as your more or less your full kitchen kind of a thing going on.
I think they sleep like six though.
I think that's right. That sounds right to me. Yeah.
And that resort in general, you have access to the Copper Creek, I think is the new name for it now, right?
Oh, you're talking about Wilderness Lodge?
Yeah, they've changed the name now, haven't they?
Well, no, Wilderness Lodge is still Wilderness Lodge. It's just divvied up now. So you have Wilderness Lodge, and then when you're talking about the villas, we're jumping ahead a little bit here. When
Yeah,
you're talking about the villas, they have Boulder Ridge section, which is a
that's
separate
what it is.
building entirely, connected by a covered walkway. And then one wing, I think, of Wilderness Lodge proper is the Copper Creek Villas.
That's right. And it's cool about the both Wilderness Lodge, the campground, as well as the rest of the area is they all have they're what they're called a Magic Kingdom resort. So
Yes.
they have direct transportation to the Magic Kingdom. I think from them it's by boat.
It is by boat. Yes, in both cases it's by boat. And they also have this neat thing where you can get on a boat that will take you that does a loop from Fort Wilderness to Wilderness Lodge to the Contemporary and then back to Fort Wilderness. So you have that as an option as well if you'd like to really get out and about. And of course, if you go to the Contemporary, then you can hop the monorail and go to the other Magic Kingdom resorts from there. So
Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing. The resorts, the areas. I guess the one, yeah, like you said, the Contemporary, the Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian are, and the Wilderness Lodge are the Magic Kingdom area resorts, right?
yes. So the neat thing about the campground too is that say you want to go camping, but you don't have a camping trailer, maybe you don't even want to bring a tent. The neat thing is that you can rent a tent from Disney and they will set that up for you at your site.
Wow, that's actually
Yep.
really it's neat.
Yep. So there's that. There's plenty to do at the campground. I believe that's also where they have their horse ranch is very near to that, I believe. And they have you can see the Magic Kingdom fireworks from the beach. That was something that my wife and I did on one of our trips. It was actually the Christmas season. So before we did that, we had just gotten engaged, and to celebrate our engagement, I reserved one of their quote unquote sleigh rides around the campground. And Dave, you were saying how the campground's really cool at Christmas, and it's mostly because the individual campers set up crazy amounts of Christmas decorations at their sites and around their RVs and everything. There was one site that actually had like a full Christmas light show set to music that we could watch. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy and really really cool what these people do with their campsites at Christmas.
Yeah, that's actually from the local perspective. People in Florida who live in Florida like me will go to Disney just at Christmas time just to see the resorts, and
Yes.
you can't even get into half the time the campgrounds because how backed up they are with people just going to see it.
Yes.
It's
The
it's it's
other,
really cool. Again, talking about Christmas time at Disney, that is 10 podcasts almost. It's utterly amazing what they do. But we should probably move to the next level, which is
well,
the values,
before
right?
I do that, I want to bring up one other thing that is
Oh,
a
go for it.
really major highlight of the Fort Wilderness Resort is their Hoop-de-Doo musical review. And that is a dinner show that they have nightly at Fort Wilderness in, I believe, what they call Pioneer Hall. It's their big building that they've got there. Looks like a big cabin from the outside. And that was my other visit to Fort Wilderness. We got to experience that dinner show, and I got to tell you, it was fantastic. It's just a great show, and I don't want to really give too many spoilers or talk about it, drone on about it too long now, but it's definitely worth checking out.
And here the food is all you care to enjoy, right?
It is the fried chicken by itself is pretty much amazing.
Oh man. All right, so the value resorts are they're more accessible to families. Maybe you have a couple of kids. Maybe you're a poor college student just stopping through and you want to go. That's kind of where the values are at. They are a value to get the on property experience, but also to save a buck or three.
Yeah. Disney provides perks for people who are staying on property. So you get extra time in the parks. You, of course, get their complimentary transportation. from to and from where you're staying at all parts of the day, and there's some other things too. But basically, a value resort gets you all of the perks that they have available to people staying on property, but at a lower price point. And they're generally good for if you're just looking for a place to sleep, a place to lay your head down at night. That's what these places are. You're not getting really big rooms, but you will have a comfortable bed and your own bathroom and everything. And that's the really neat thing about staying at those places. Plus, they have a nearby food court, as we talked about in our last episode.
Yeah, the one, like, just to expand on what those benefits are. If you buy a product in the park, you buy some merchandise, they'll
Mm.
actually send it back to your resort for you. Again, the complimentary transportation with the values, they're now hooked up with, of course, the busing, and now the Skyway is in a couple of them.
The Skyliner, as the
Skyliner, yeah.
yeah, that's the overhead cable cars that they've recently opened. One of those stations is right between their Pop Century Resort and their Art of Animation Resort. There's kind of a connecting bridge between the two across a body of water. There's a station right there in the middle to take the cable cars, which will take you to Epcot's back gate and Hollywood Studios front gate and a couple of resorts in between.
Yeah. Well, you'll find out the values too. And just, we should name them. There's Pop Century, sports, music.
Yeah,
Uh,
all star sports, music, and movies.
yep. And then art animation kinda is a value.
It really is a value. It's just what sets it apart is that most of their rooms are what they call family suites.
Yeah.
So you've got more than just a single bedroom and a single bathroom. I think they have like an actual bedroom. Basically, it's a place where you can, I think they sleep five, so you can have a greater potential of having the whole family together in the same room. And they have really neat art of animation also. They for a value resort has really neat theming as
Oh
well.
yeah, especially again at Christmas time when you see how they do it. They really do it up. The changing of the areas, how they have different, like there's the Cars area, the Little Mermaid, Finding Nemo area. Those are just so cool. And you'll find out the values too. And some people, this is, they should be aware of this, is when you go on a school trip, like say you're going with your football team or you're going with your choir, often those will stay at those resorts. So
Yes.
you'll be like with your school for your choir and you'll go to Disney, you'll be staying probably at All Star Music. Or if
Yeah.
you're doing a competition for your sports team, like your baseball team, you'll probably be staying at All Star Sports.
Yeah. Occasionally they do get so booked up that some of those groups end up staying at the moderate level, but by and large they do stay at the value resorts.
And just because the words value in them doesn't mean they're lesser. They're really quite nice. And have you noticed they're starting to make value resort specific swag and merch?
I have noticed that. Yeah, I was in communication with a couple of friends that were talking about making sure they got the brand new Pop Century coffee mug and things like that.
And that used to be exclusive only to deluxes, and it's starting to make its way around all of them, which I think is actually really cool.
Yeah, it also might mean that my coffee mug collection was going to grow sometime in the future.
Oh man, Disney coffee mugs. They make up probably roughly a third of all the coffee mugs that my wife uses.
They make up about a half of what I use. I think I've got one for just about every single Disney deluxe resort in the world at this
Yeah.
point.
My
So,
relative Cian, she because she works at the parks, she has every Christmas is something Disney related, and it almost always includes a mug or two. So most recently of which was my Avengers mug, which is pretty nice, and my Captain America head mug. Now we should probably look at the moderates. Again,
right.
the labels of the names are kind of deceiving, except for the
Yes.
deluxes. The deluxes are actually,
Yeah.
accurately named because the moderate
Mod
isn't just moderate, in my opinion.
No, it's not. The from a standpoint of room size and amenities, I guess moderates are kind of like, and I'm really selling them short by saying this, but they're kind of like staying at your local Holiday Inn. You're actually at that kind of a level basically with your moderate resort, and again in terms of room size, bedding and amenities. But moderates have really nice theming as well. So let's go around the horn. The moderate resorts are Port Orleans, which is divided into French Quarter and Riverside,
Yeah.
and then Caribbean Beach and Coronado Springs. And then we mentioned the cabins at Fort Wilderness Campground are also at the moderate level. I think that covers the list.
Does what's that new one they just opened up?
The Riviera,
Is that technically a moderate or is that a deluxe or is that somewhere in
that's
that
the
nebulous zone?
Riviera. The Riviera is on the deluxe level. I also think at Coronado Springs they opened up Grand Destino Tower, and I
Yeah.
think that may also be deluxe, but I'm not 100% positive.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that because I know they're all right there with each other.
Yes.
I know
It,
I've stayed at the French Quarter in the royal rooms, the princess rooms.
oh, you did.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's Tiana themed.
Yeah.
Um, that was pretty cool. You hit the button and there's the fireworks over the backdrop. The sink was, the genie's lamp in the bathroom. The
Oh
resort
man.
was nice. It's actually a resort that you can have what they call a resort day where you stay there. The
Okay.
moderates, you can have resort days, and the pool was good and it was quiet. But then again, the Port Orleans is a more quiet resort.
Yeah.
And they now have boat access to Disney Springs from Port Orleans,
Yes, they do. Yep.
which, if you're really into that scene where you want to go out and have a little bit later of a night and you like to eat and drink,
You
hopping on the boats to do that, it's
you
actually a good
like to
option.
do a lot of shopping.
A lot of shopping. Yeah, it's a good option for it. And so, in a sense, it is a Disney Springs resort.
Yes. Actually, I believe that that's the area that the Port Orleans are considered to be as Disney Springs area resorts. I've not stayed at any of them, and actually I haven't visited, but a lot of people that are close to me, relatives and friends who I definitely trust their opinions, have had really nothing but good things to say about staying at the moderate level, and particularly at Port Orleans Riverside. That seems to be the heavy favorite.
Yeah, the French Quarters where I stayed, I visited the Caribbean Beach and I visited Coronado Springs. They're both very nice. Coronado Springs has changed a lot since I've been there. They built that new tower that we're talking about, and
Yeah,
Caribbean Beach has also changed a lot.
that's where they put the Rivieras next to Caribbean Beach, and also at Caribbean Beach, you talked about the princess themed or the royal rooms over at Port Orleans.
Yeah,
At Caribbean Beach, they have the pirate themed rooms.
which look really cool. Can you imagine being like a little boy or a little girl who really loves pirates? That would just like tick all the boxes for you.
Yep. Also worth noting, once you get up to this level, I mean, not only is it good to have, is it possible and likely that you might spend just a day at the resort and such, but with the activities they've got there, and that's the other thing at Disney resorts, they've got activities.
Yeah, so
So
you can take a resort day, so to speak.
there, and I believe that's at any resort, value, moderate, deluxe, doesn't matter. They have activities. A lot of
Yeah.
them are geared towards kids, but with Disney, and this is the cool thing that we like about Disney, is that if you've got kids, yes, there are very kid oriented things, but they absolutely encourage the whole family to get involved. That's something that's neat there. But yeah, moderates definitely lend themselves to resort days a whole lot more. And the other thing worth noting is that they will have restaurants that are both walk up counter service and then table service restaurants as well.
And one thing to note about the moderates is I believe it's the Coronado has a convention center,
Yeah, I believe you're right.
and I'm not sure if the Caribbean Beach has a convention center,
It
but
don't, I don't. I don't think it does. Caribbean Beach has a lot of sections.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
we
It's very
talked
big.
about transportation. You're getting the bus to go to a park or something like that. Caribbean Beach has multiple bus stops because it has multiple sections. It's pretty well spread out. And if you ever take the Skyliner from Riviera to Caribbean Beach Station, you'll see just how far that resort expands out.
And that's what's pretty good. But yeah, like so if you have a conference, you'll probably end up at the Coronado.
Probably.
They do a lot of that there. Now that's not the only conference center. I know a couple of the deluxes have conference centers, but
Yes.
generally that's a little bit more accessible to some conferences. I know a couple conferences that I have been interested in have actually been at the Coronado in the past. So they you'll probably end up going there if you're in a kind of career field that does conferences. I'm sure if you're in any career field, you could probably find a conference that goes there. So yeah, but that's what the moderates are for. Again, maybe you are probably going to Disney more than once, and so well, let's set it a moderate this time. I would imagine that's kind of where you land for that. Would you say that? That's probably from the more maybe a little more seasoned of the Disney tourists.
I'd say a lot of the regular travelers to Disney World that have not bought into Disney Vacation Club, they're definitely on the moderate level most of the time. Mainly because it's not that much from a per night standpoint, it's not that much higher than value. Whereas when you're going from moderate to deluxe, that's a big step up on the price.
But as we move into deluxes, the step up is not. It does cost more, but the price is worth every penny. Now, some people might go one way or the other on that one, but Justin and I are pretty much of the same mind that the deluxes really are deluxe. Now, you've stayed at more of these than I have.
Well, and there again, this is where Disney Vacation Club enters the picture again, because if you join Disney Vacation Club, your points are largely spent on deluxe resorts. That's where you end up staying most of the time, particularly in the villas sections. Not every deluxe resort has villas, but every villas section is part of a deluxe resort, if you understand my meaning there. The main difference between a deluxe and a deluxe villa is that a deluxe villa will have a full kitchen and washer and dryer for laundry in the room. So that's kind of it's an actual like realistic living space rather than a sleeping space, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, the deluxes, they are, even somebody who lives locally and I can go home, they are worth visiting just to see them because
Absolutely.
they're immaculately decorated and designed.
Yeah, this is where at the deluxe level, if you've ever been inside a Disney theme park and seen it, I'm not talking about pictures and videos because they scarcely do it justice. If you go inside the theme park and actually see the attention to detail in the theme park, they apply that same level of attention to detail at their deluxe resorts. So
Yeah,
absolutely exquisite in every aspect of what they do at those resorts.
it's fantastic. My favorites are, and no, well, my most favorite is the Animal Kingdom Lodge.
It is
Um,
very nice.
I like the boardwalk.
Okay.
Epcot area resorts are just they're really good.
Yeah.
The
Well, the neat
boardwalk,
thing,
the
neat
beach.
thing about Epcot area resorts is that you're within a really good striking distance of two theme parks at the same time.
Yeah. I think like my second favorite would probably be the Wilderness Lodge. And if you guys know anything about that, it's the same designer built both of those.
Built Wilderness and Animal Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah. I think they also built Eluani out in Hawaii.
I
Oh,
think really more inspired by that guy's work because I think he passed away before he was able to do Alani.
maybe it's the same company then.
It might be. It might be. I do know that same architect did the Grand Californian at Disneyland.
And
So
having only seen pictures, it looks like it. You know what I mean?
yes, you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell the touch that's given to those resorts in particular. And that's the neat thing about them is that if you're the kind of person who when they go on a vacation, they want to be surrounded by something more adventurous and such. Than Wilderness Lodge, Animal Kingdom, those two are really good and unique places to stay. The rest of them, while very immaculately themed, are you're looking at, well, this is clearly high end, it's clearly well done and everything, but it's not like it's removing you from your typical place to stay in a way, I
I would say
guess.
the Polynesian comes kind of close.
Oh yes, I forgot about the Polynesian. Definitely, yeah, that definitely removes you out of the typical element as well. But those kinds of places, when you're staying there, it's like when you're staying at the Polynesian, at Animal Kingdom Lodge or Wilderness Lodge. In my opinion, I've stayed at all three of them, and those are the kinds of places that when you're staying there, the more time you spend at the resort, the less you remember, hey, I'm at Disney World. There's a theme park right across the lake or something like that. You start to forget about those kinds of things because the theming takes you, it's like an escape in a way.
And that's not to knock the others. I mean,
No,
they
not at
are
all. I
like when
know.
you walk into the Grand Floridian, it for the first time, I remember my jaw dropped.
Oh yeah, just seeing the immense size of that lobby is absolutely incredible, and the chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, the really intricate designs in the carpet. They have the orchestra that plays there from time to time. The music in that lobby is by and large either played by a small orchestra or played by somebody actually playing the piano in the lobby. So it is really really neat.
It's beautiful. At Christmas time, like I went there once and my jaw dropped. I went back for Christmas and again, it just as if it was a whole new place. And it's true for all of them, really.
Yes.
Like I said, I like the Epcot area resorts. I think that Justin kind of hit it off right when you said like you feel more removed when you're at those at the Wilderness Lodge, and I'm looking Lodge, and the Polynesian. The Epcot resorts, you don't feel as removed because you're so close to the two parks and literally you're within walking distance. So you're not as removed, but it does feel like you're just in a whole different place compared to the.
Yeah, the Epcot resorts are Yacht Club, Beach Club, and Boardwalk. And Boardwalk is supposed to be inspired by kind of old time ragtime Atlantic City. Beach Club, you're looking at, I believe, like Cape Cod, kind of a thing, kind of a feel to it. And Yacht Club, something like Nantucket, I
It's their
believe.
very New England
Yes,
style. The beach and yacht are very New Englandy feel
yes,
of a resort, and like the boardwalk is, you just mash up every boardwalk you've ever been to with, like you said, a tip of the hat to
right.
Seaside Heights or Neptune Beach and so on.
Last
Like if you're familiar with that.
last summer we got to stay for the very first time at Beach Club as a Disney Vacation Club member. It's really hard to get into that one if it's not your home resort, so you can't book out as early. But we finally were able to get into Beach Club. It is now officially in my top three of deluxe resorts I really enjoyed staying at. The pool in front, that the pool that is shared by Beach and Yacht Club, is a major selling point. Sand bottom pool, lots of different areas and nooks to that pool. There's like even a very small lazy river, and the water slide, of course, is really really good too. So we just had a lot of fun relaxing at the pool, particularly in the evenings after having a long day at the park. We spent a couple of evenings there and just really love spending time at the pool at Beach Club and Yacht Club. And their dining venues are really good too, especially if you love seafood. Oh my goodness. And I love seafood. So,
Well, you're forgetting about the hole in the wall at the beach and yacht.
okay, what's the hole in the wall?
Beaches and cream.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. Yeah, believe me, that was in the back of my mind. I didn't completely forget about it. I have shared now and completed successfully the kitchen sink on two separate occasions.
You and I have done that one together.
No, we didn't.
I thought we have been there together, though, haven't we?
We may have been there together. Well, but we didn't share the. We didn't do the kitchen sink though.
I remember I've done it with my parents. That was pretty solid. I thought we did. Oh well, we'll have to. And
Yeah.
they just redid that whole thing. It's bigger now.
Yeah, they were on our trip last summer. They were getting ready to close it down. We managed to get in there, to sneak in there, get a seat up at the counter, which they don't reserve those out, and we were able to get the kitchen sink on that last trip before they did all the changes. Anxious to see what it looks like now. But yeah, so beach club's definitely my favorite. I've also stayed at Boardwalk. Can't stay at Yacht Club on points, but I have dined at Yacht Club, and again, fantastic.
Does that have the steakhouse?
Yes, the Yachtsman Steakhouse is there. That one was actually is a signature restaurant. Actually, not my favorite of the two restaurants at Yacht Club. My favorite by far was the Ale and Compass.
I've heard about that.
Not to say that Yachtsman was bad. Yachtsman was quite good, but Ale and Compass. Let's just say when you're talking when we were saying we were talking to a couple of cast members and they said and I said do anything fun tonight, and they said, well, yeah, we got a dining reservation at Ale and Compass, and their eyes got big and their jaws dropped and they're like, you are in for such a treat. And so
Wow.
we knew we had hit pay dirt on that restaurant going in, and we're like, oh, so do you recommend any particular dishes there? And they said anything on the menu, literally anything on the menu is fantastic. We pretty much made our way between the four of us, my parents and my wife, around that menu pretty good. And yeah, everything was just absolutely fantastic.
I've heard that one. By the way, I don't think we explained it. A signature restaurant is a restaurant whose price point starts at $35. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, easily. You're gonna, yeah, one person realistically is going to spend probably $50 before tax and tip on their meal. So that's,
Which,
yeah.
if you're gonna go to, you're pretty much you know that's ahead of you're going into that. You know.
Yeah, but it's also worth noting that the dishes are very well prepared, and very there's an attention to detail that comes with that. The service that you get at those restaurants is also a cut above the rest, even though that might be hard to believe in some cases. How could service possibly get any better than making sure your glass doesn't reach the bottom? But actually it is really well done because the servers there, they not only make sure that you're well taken care of, but they also know the menu themselves inside and out. So you can ask them any question, they have an answer to it. And the other thing too is it's at a slower pace. So when you go to a signature restaurant, you're talking about 2 hours instead of real quick. It's not going to be quick. It's an experience basically. But yeah, so that's enough on going down that rabbit trail. But also worth noting in the deluxe resort and the deluxe villas we mentioned earlier, there's Grand Destino Tower, which may or may not be deluxe. There's the Riviera, which is, haven't stayed there. My parents have dined there. They said it was very good. There's Saratoga Springs and Old Key West, which are pretty much exclusively your deluxe studios and your villas for Disney Vacation Club members, but you can pay for that without using points too. And those are real close to Disney Springs. All really good places to stay in their own right. Grand Floridian is my favorite to visit. I have stayed there. It's actually a little bit too exquisite for my taste. For some people, it's fantastic, but I have enjoyed thoroughly all of my visits there.
Yeah, I've had family members who've stayed there. He was okay with it. His wife loved it, but that's the kind of person that she is, and that's fine. Everyone is their own person.
Right.
Um, again, you and I are kind of built the same way. We would like Animal Kingdom Lodge, Wilderness Lodge. That kind of just tickles our funny bone.
Yeah.
And again, I would love to stay at the Polynesian. Never had that opportunity yet. Though I've heard it is one of the best out of the original deluxes.
It's definitely worth paying a little extra to get that lake view at the Polynesian so you can see the Magic Kingdom across the water from your room.
And the fireworks at night.
Yes, that's one of the best places to see the Magic Kingdom fireworks is from the beach at the Polynesian. And bonus, you can go to the counter where they sell Dole Whips and enjoy a nice Dole Whip on a very sparsely crowded beach while you watch those fireworks. But
there are some underrated restaurants at the Polynesian.
Trader Sam's. Yeah. Yes.
That is excellent.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
Ohana for breakfast.
Yeah. Kona Cafe.
Kona Cafe is phenomenal for breakfast. we could go on and on about them in particular. That it's really good. There is no bad deluxe. It's just what do you like versus what you don't like, you know? And some of them, and you could correct me here, some of the deluxes are actually more for the Disney Vacation Club than they are for just regular people staying on property, like Old Key West.
Yes. Old Key West was, I think, the first Disney Vacation Club resort, and you can tell when you walk into the guest areas of that resort. Saratoga Springs is now where Disney Vacation Club is headquartered.
When I went to Old Key West, it felt like that, like it as it. Well, again, I live in Florida. It feels like Florida, and it
Yes.
felt like a personal club. Old Key West.
Yeah.
You can tell like this is where people have been going since they started the program.
Yeah.
It feels like I was intruding on somebody else's place, but it was really nice.
Yeah, the restaurant there called at Old Key West called Olivia's is actually a hidden gem, and it's actually worth going out of your way to try it, especially for dinner. They do an excellent prime rib. Just saying.
Prime rib
Yeah.
sounds really good right now.
Yeah. Well, when
I
you
still
haven't
haven't
had
eaten
dinner
dinner
yet,
yet, in case everyone's wondering.
and yeah, Grand Floridian. Sometime I'm sure we're going to be talking about it. It's worth mentioning that I have officially with my wife experienced Victoria and Albert's,
Oh my.
I believe the only Five Diamond restaurant in Central Florida. And not only that, we got the chef's table, which is one table by itself right off the kitchen, so you can see what's going on in the kitchen. And they only have one seating a night. Pretty exclusive club there. Expensive club, worth every penny.
Well,
Yeah.
Justin, when you have children, I'm sure you're going to be like, that was a good memory.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll probably be true. Yeah, that'll probably be true. I'd like to score it again for another milestone anniversary. Not sure when that will be. I don't know. Maybe
When your beard is nice and gray.
yeah, probably like 35th anniversary, I guess, because 30 years is plenty of time for the kids to come and go.
That's for sure. We're definitely gonna have to do like an in-depth on all like this resort or that resort's restaurants and the other things you could do there as well. Maybe that'll
Right.
be the name, restaurants and other stuff
Yep.
at this resort.
All right. Well, I think we've droned on long enough about the overview of Disney resorts. We want to thank you for listening, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Hope to see you again real soon.
Take care.